This is a story about transformation. It's a story about hard work, determination, success, and disaster. It's a story about making a home where we can live in harmony with nature. But ultimately, it's about building a bridge and simply finding a way. It all started with a disused paddock on a floodplain. Nothing could be built or planted there, with the nearby river regularly flooding the land. So we decided to stop fighting the natural course of water and build a wetland habitat. Our design was a circular structure with a central island, preserving the willow tree that was already there. Bring in the earth movers. The high level of groundwater immediately filled the void, and we watched as the land transformed into a lake. But then, disaster. In one of the biggest floods of the decade, the river broke its banks and flowed across the land, destroying the walls of the lake and washing away months of terraforming. Once the waters had receded, the destruction was obvious, and we had to rebuild. So, Lake version 2.0 was born. This one had higher walls with a stepped interior. And an overflow pipe to divert any excess water back to the river. We reinforced the walls with rocks from our river as an extra precaution. The native swamp hens approved, and we were ready for the next phase. The first step was to source 4 very straight and tall trees from our forest to use as joists. Then we prepared the willow tree so it could become part of the structure. We wanted it to become the central focus of the bridge, allowing you to walk through it on your way to the island.
Okay, so we've got both main logs on. The last one went on today, that one. And now we're putting the other side log on to the island, and we've used genius logs rolling just like the Egyptians did, and we've already gotten it almost all the way there. Now Merlin is going across the island. He's not using my star pickets like he should, but he's climbing straight up, which he did well, and now he's going to just try pulling it across.
It's important to note that we don't have any background in construction. Just some tools and a head full of ideas.
It might be caught in a knot. Whoa, whoa. Oh, you're right. Hang on.
It took some work, but with the help of our neighbour, we managed to get the logs into place. Next, waterproofing tar was applied to the timber. This not only looks good, but helps to preserve the longevity of the bridge. With the basic structure in place, it was time to lay the decking. Chris had to cut 92 pieces of timber for this part. Rivendell is a big property and it's a long way to the workshop from the bridge. There was a lot of carrying back and forth. An important part of this construction was getting easy access to the island. A couple of long boards did the trick. And then the tree was used to slide boards up to the second half of the bridge.
I've just drawn a string line from across there. I actually created it right on the edge of where the boards will be at the end, and I've drawn a string line and put a star picket in there so that I can butt the boards up just where the string is and get a dead straight line all the way across with every board. I'm going to now use these rubber edges that I've cut up. They're like rubber matting. You can buy them at any discount store. I'm going to use those to place between the boards and the log, and I'm going to use them to level the boards. I've got a level here, so in case there's any imperfections in the boards, I will scrape out some of the knots using a metal scraper. But for what I can't get exactly right, I'll use these rubber spacers. I'm going to use rubber spacers, at least one for each one as well, because it'll give the boards a much nicer feel when you're walking on them. I'm hoping this all works well today. And here I am. I'm on the bridge, and I'm going to try cutting this knot off the log with an ancient tool. This is a really amazing tool. It's a Merlin, and hopefully it will work. Job done.
Gradually, the bridge began to take shape. Working through the Tasmanian winter was a little treacherous with all that ice around, but it sure was pretty. Finally, we made it to the island. It's so satisfying when it's level. A few more boards until we reach the other end.
Well, I've almost finished the planks that are going on top of the logs. As you can see, I've only got maybe another half a dozen or so to go. After that, then I've got to fill in this little hole here, which is in the middle of the tree part. Unfortunately, it didn't go evenly. I had to dog leg it out, but it's going to make it more interesting, lots more character. After that, I'm going to slightly lift up the bridge by jacking it up so that I can get some braces underneath. I'm going to put some triangular braces under, so nothing will ever be able to bring the bridge down. After that, then the next phase starts where I put the side railings on. And eventually, I'm going to put a roof over this section so that it'll be like a covered bridge. And then I'm going to tar the entire bridge black to make it look old. Possibly even do some carving or some Tolkien-like features to it. Anyway, so far so good.
We designed some triangular supports for the handrails with metal brackets and angled props.
Okay, now I'm going to cut this piece of wood. There's a little laser there. I dust off the laser. And now I'm going to go and cut it. Here we go. Look at that beautiful smooth cut. And we have a piece at approximately 35 degrees.
With all the supports up, it was time to attach the handrail and balustrades. The centre of the bridge was built to allow the natural movement of the tree. It is not actually attached directly to the tree. At this stage, to save back and forth from the workshop, a lot of the measuring and cutting was done on site. almost finished. Finally, we have a bridge. Now comes the sanding. So much sanding. One could argue that this could have been done before using the timber in the construction, but it wasn't, so there. Want to know what it sounds like? And finishing off by hand with sandpaper. Just listen to those beautiful frogs. We needed a way to support the bridge, so we came up with a type of beam bottom in a plinth design using an old metal barrel, some reinforcing wire and concrete. The basic idea is that you fill the barrel with concrete, creating a heavy, stable base on the bottom of the lake. You then use this to support a beam that runs vertically to the bridge. It took quite a few buckets of concrete. Unfortunately, it does involve getting a bit wet and muddy. Finally, it was time to tar the entire bridge. Again, one could argue that the timber could have been tarred beforehand, but then how could we have the fun of doing this? The tar acts as a protective coating, but it also makes the bridge virtually disappear into the landscape and not stand out as raw timber would. A black cormorant had made the lake its home and was often seen diving for tadpoles while the work was going on. He was a constant companion to Chris throughout the days. Sticking your head through the slats to paint the outside resulted in some tarry faces. With the concrete set, it was time to position the support beam. And then tar that too. And to test the support strength, Chris drove the mower across to the island. And a long-awaited mowing of the island. To complete the job, the gaps needed to be tarred too. While tarring, we saw an unusually large amount of honeybees hanging around the bridge. On closer inspection, we noticed that they were actually collecting small amounts of tar. I googled it and found that honeybees will collect tar if it's readily available to make propolis to repair their hives. You can see their little knee sacks full of tar. So cool. The final touch was the installation of solar lights. How pretty are these flickering lanterns? I'll link them below in the description if you want some for your garden. And with that, the bridge was finished. Chris is not a builder and had never done anything like this before, and I think he did a pretty good job. Let me know in the comments what you think. The next project will be the development of the island. We're thinking a Japanese garden. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it.